Hi, David. You're
Morning.
good morning. What do you think? I almost felt like saying, "What do you think of the show so far?" But I might won't. I'll not do that one, will I? Yeah, seriously though, great event and exciting stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is definitely the future, isn't it? Electric vehicles, and people do certainly care for the environment. And it's although I think it's gonna. This is the beginning of the journey. Let's put it that way round.
Yeah.
Because vehicles cost money. Full stop. And it's a case of people really understanding the costs, how they manage those costs. And I think there's a lot, and what this event's trying to show is what employers can do to promote employees to really engage with the electric vehicles. And I mean more that around the charging points, because obviously one of the major issues you've got certainly in Portsmouth is the off-street parking. So how can you charge a vehicle?
Yeah. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of misconceptions as well. I was talking to a councillor this morning, and he was saying that if you get an electric car in Portsmouth, that they will put in a parking space for you and a charging point in the street.
Well, there you go. Well, something every day's a school day. I didn't know that.
I didn't know either.
No, amazing. Well, that's great, and I know the council are very keen, and they need to, don't they? They need to drive to getting more electric vehicles in the city.
It's so saturated, the city, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So, anyway, but your side of it is more, I guess, funding it, being able to afford it.
Yeah, so essentially Motor Republic, what we do is that we talk to companies in the main, but that goes all the way to individuals, because I'm very passionate about ensuring people fund vehicles in the right way. Because the ironic thing about vehicles is that because they're quite emotive, so people start getting excited about the opportunity to get a new car, or maybe not so much a van, although we do vans more often than not, is that they'll charge out and start having a look at the metal, start getting excited about it, start looking about how they can afford it, but what they've not necessarily considered is the best way to fund it. And the market likes to look after itself, and what I mean by that is that people will talk to you about a funding method that works for them.
Yes, of course.
Rather than what works for you. So my real USP is that we sit down with companies, help them understand the best way to fund, because it might be the company directors fund one way, the vans are funded another, and the pool cars funded another.
Yeah, and it's something that not even all accountants are switched on to, is it? And the first thing you do in a business is say to the accountant, how will I do this?
Absolutely, yeah, indeed. And running cars as in your personal name quite often is far more tax efficient. Even if you're doing business mileage.
Yeah.
So again, you're right. And accountants really ought to be.
It does need to be looked closely at, and of course there's always there's so many tax benefits that people don't realise for electric. I mean, it's quite massive, really.
Oh, huge. Yeah, I mean, when you come to those sort of things, I mean, I don't think that there's any road fund licence charging for electric vehicles, the running costs and these types of things. So, yeah, the other part of looking at the way that you always ought to look at vehicles, as I said earlier, vehicles cost money. So what you need to look at is the whole of life cost, ultimately. And this is where funding in the method of, say, leasing, for instance, is becoming ever more popular. I mean, we do a lot of it, and I'm not saying it for that reason. I'm saying it because actually it is proven that it's the biggest uptake in car financing, van financing over the last 3 years. Why? Because it gives people fixed cost motoring. Yeah. And as long as you understand the terms and conditions of which you're signing up for, you're going to get, fixed cost motoring. And that's exactly what you need. And as the younger generation, dare I say it, younger than myself, they understand that leasing things that depreciates makes sense. Buy those that appreciate. And so I liken a lot of cars these days to a mobile phone contract.
Yeah, if I want to buy a car that appreciates, I'd buy a classic.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely, yeah.